along with an overhand knot tied at the end, so that you can clearly see the knotted end and what I call the smooth loop end. See the difference? We put the pin in the apex of the heart, and this is one pair of workers, and on the same pin, hung open, you pop a second pair of workers. Add 2 twists. That means either you twist both pairs once, or you twist one pair twice. Comes to the same thing. Right? That is the loop that my workers will finish in. That's the loop that needs my red magic thread. Now, this is vital because there's a right and a wrong way of putting a magic thread in. I want the smooth loop to be beneath the work so that when it's used at the end, it does that. You've just seen it do that on my pillow. So you can understand that if I've got it the wrong way round and it's the knotted end which is underneath, it will not pull through the starting loop. So that's why it's so important to get the right loop in the right place. So separate the bobbins of the pair or pairs that you're putting the magic thread into the loop. Hold the knotted end, even though you feel foolish dangling it above the pillow here. And you push the smooth loop down the middle between those bobbins or bobbins. And you push the smooth loop underneath one or two threads, two in this instance, either to the right or to the left of your starting pin. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I go right or left. I've gone left this time because it's the outside of the work. You've got a little more space there. Check. How is that going to work at the end? Is it going to pull a finishing end up through? And you can see that it is. You've got a clear visual picture of how it's going to be used, which I hope will ensure that everybody gets their threads in the right way. Even if you push it underneath the right hand thread, it still starts at the middle and works to the outside. Then, on an anchor pin, you split the thread and push the pin through the knotted and smooth loop, because you will be anchoring it behind the work so that it stops those magic threads slipping forward and getting caught up in the work. But can you see what I've deliberately done? And why, before you anchor it, you pull the lace bobbins down the pillow so that the lace threads are snug against that starting pin. Then you put in your anchor pin. Otherwise you end up with an elongated starting loop which is never going to give you a neat finish. Got it? So workers will now be pushed to one side, and those are our passives, are they? Or three, I'm looking for...
Trail passives are the maple ones. Here.
Right, okay, fine. Now, we've got 3 pairs to start across this trail. Pins. And so I like to have, wherever possible, 1 pair starting per pin. Not always possible. Don't panic, I have an answer. Ooh, gosh, that's a nice little pin. Right. So, just lean that pin slightly back, and I'm going to have a row of pins slightly behind the line which is joining my apex pin on the left of the trail with the apex pin on the right of the trail. Just a fraction behind that line, I'm going to have 3 pins, 1 pair of passives per pin. How convenient. So this one I want to go fairly close to the worker. The middle one, I'll do the far end one first. That one fairly close to the pin at this end, and 1 in the middle. So 1 pair on, please. Now, if I were you,
you would start from here?
Why? Color sequence.
Oh, okay.
Because you're going to create your own colour sequence now of magic threads. So we started with a red one, and I suggest that you put your magic thread in now, before you hang your next pair on. It's a lot easier to see what you're doing, and you've got a little less clutter at the start. Make life easy for yourself. So, watching, is that smooth loop starting in the middle? Yes, it is. Give yourself a bit more space. Now you've got room. So, pushing it underneath, we've gone to the left. So take it round to the left of the starting pin, but not round to the left of the previous starting pin, so it's got to go through that gap here. That's it. Pull down and grab your anchor pin and keep pulling those down while you position the anchor pin with the other hand. It takes a little bit of time, but believe me, it's worth every minute you spend doing this, because you'll save it at the end as you poke and get a crochet hook caught up on the fabric that's covering your cover cloth. We've all been there. So is that nice and tight? It certainly is. Next one on. Now, exactly the same again, because we've got one pair per starting pin in this instance. But if we had 4 pairs of passives to begin with, and we had only got room for 3 pins instead of 4, what would we do? We'd have to hang 2 pairs on one starting pin. But you can't hang them on and then put 2 magic threads in. You have to hang on the first pair and put in the first magic thread. Complete that whole process. Then you hang on the second pair on the same pin and you put in the next magic thread through just that pair's left or right hand thread. So one at a time, one whole thread at a time must be completed before you hang on the next on the same pin. In theory you could hang another one on the same pin, but always one at a time, complete with its magic thread before you go to the next one. So we've got red, yellow, green. So what have we got coming up next? One more, and then make a note of the colour sequence that you've used. Unless this is the Venezuelan flag and you have it all over in your...
It's just a rainbow.
Yeah.